Welcome to my kitchen. I'm super excited to start this brand new series called Cooking Around the World. Today we're making nopalitos. Nopalitos are made from the prickly pear cactus petals, and I'm trying to be very careful and not poke myself with this. It does have a few of the spines still on it, nothing big, so I do need to make sure I clean this up super well and not slap myself in the face with it. So I have about a pound of nopales, the cactus leaves that they call them at Safeway. And I'm just able to find these in my local grocery store, which is a little crazy. I could also go to a lot of my neighbors' backyards and just cut some of them. A single paddle is called a nopal. Several paddles are called nopales. And then, to be completely honest with you, I haven't quite figured out what nopalitos is, but I got the feeling that it's basically pan-fried chopped cactus cooked with onion, garlic, and tomato. And from what I understand, that's a pretty traditional way to do it. But the two other really popular way to cook nopales are with eggs, so that's nopales con huevos, and I think it's called ensalada de nopales. It's a nopales salad. So I think you can actually eat this stuff raw. Don't quote me on that. I'll put it on the screen, yes or no, right now, so that we know for sure. So the trick when you're buying these at the store is to find ones where you can hold them up like this and they're not flopping around. Like, this is pretty stable. Ow. Cooking with cactus is gonna be painful. The things you need besides the cactus petals are pretty simple. Onion, garlic, a lime, really good looking tomato, jalapenos, Anaheim peppers. I've never made this before. I probably should have started the video like that. We're on an adventure together. Since this is going to be our dinner, I also am going to be making some rice and beans on the side. I'm also going to be using some dried chipotle peppers, which look like this. Oh, they smell so good. If you don't know, chipotle peppers are actually just a smoked jalapeno pepper, and they're heavily dried. So I'm gonna be rehydrating these, blending them up, and then cooking the black beans in them. But the beans that my husband usually makes are from scratch, and I feel like he's gonna be super pretentious when he finds out that he's eating beans from a can. So it'll be better if it tastes like chipotle. That's my plan. So the spices that I'm going to be using for this dish are salt, pepper, chili powder, cumin, maybe a little bit of oregano. And then I have an avocado and some cilantro to top everything with. So we're kind of making like little vegetarian bowls. Guys, if I don't accidentally add honey to this, this might be vegan. I don't know how, but I'm already ready for a beer. Looks like beer. Tastes like beer. So first, we're gonna prep these. So the way that I saw online that you're supposed to cut this is you're basically supposed to cut off the entire like outer edges of it, and then you're supposed to nick off each of these little guys. Ooh, it's got some slime to it like okra. Yummy! And then you're supposed to chop this bad boy off. Let's do it. I feel so confident. I don't know where to start. Okay. I'm like afraid to touch this. Can you tell? Also, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you remember what my knife in Beijing looked like. It was quite a bit larger than this. I need the compost bin. I love composting, y'all. Also, I wonder what happens if you eat the stuff raw. Probably die. Well, this is pretty easy, just time consuming. That's what everyone on the internet said. They're like, I would prep nopales more, but it takes forever. And I can see that that is the case. So I'm just gonna keep cracking at this, just removing all these little spiny guys, because the internet told me to. Y'all ready for a time lapse? 5 minutes and I've done one. I just wanted to say, I think the easiest way to do it is by pressing the paddle down flat and then running the knife like this across it at first and trying to get all of them, and then do the little spot checks afterwards. And then I was just like touching it to make sure that, you know, it didn't have any little spiky bits left on it. 1 down, 3 more to go. So give yourself about 4 to 5 minutes of paddle if you're a beginner. You see that little thing right there? That little spine? Yep, definitely poked myself on that. Check out the goop on this, you guys. It'll like drip too. Look at that. That's so crazy. But yeah, I finally have 4 cleaned paddles. As I was cleaning off the nopales, I did notice that I had 2 little spines, teeny tiny ones, stuck in my hand. And so I'm glad I noticed them early because you do not want those to get further in your hand. So personally, I'd recommend wearing some kind of gloves or just being super careful when you cut these up. But the ones that I got from the store were already fairly cleaned up. They didn't have like the big spikes coming off of them or anything. Also, they're starting to smell like green beans. Now I'm going to cut them. So the recommendation is to cut like this. I'm gonna go ahead and chop these up in little pieces, and then for the really long ones, like when I get into the middle or on the wider ones, I might cut those in half. Well, this is boring, so let's do a little magic. Ta-da! I got my cut nopales. Now it's time to chop everything else. So I'm gonna chop up a 1/4 of an onion, 3 cloves of garlic, and a tomato, and that's all gonna be with that cactus dish. I'm also gonna be adding jalapeno to it, and I think I'm gonna add in one of these peppers too, just one of them. And then after we have all those veggies prepped, we will move on to the beans. Okay, now it's time to rehydrate the chipotle pepper for the beans. So I am just putting some water in the kettle. I'm gonna get that boiling. Then I'm gonna pour it into whatever bowl I put the chipotle pepper in. Then we're gonna put a lid on it and let that sit for, I don't know, 30 minutes? I'm not really sure, until things start happening. Some rice cooking, and I wanted to tell you guys something funny. When we lived in China, we used to buy quite large bags of rice. At least in my opinion, they were pretty large. But in terms of like the way that the size of rice bags go in China, it was actually the smallest size possible. And let me show you what size it was, because that's exactly what I got as the biggest size available at my local Safeway. Definitely got some looks as I lugged this baby into my cart. But in China, like I said, this is a normal bag of rice, like a small bag of rice even. Why do I even attempt to paint my nails? So my rice is done. I am going to add some spices to it. We got chili powder, we got cumin, and we got oregano. I'm gonna just throw it on in. Okay, so this is kind of what our rice looks like. It's just like a lightly seasoned rice, basically. It's got a very, very light flavor to it, which is pretty much exactly what I wanted. So I have my small attachment for my blender. I love my blender. I'll link it down below. It's the Ninja. Basically, this is the motor and the primary expensive part of the blender. Then it comes with this little guy, which I use kind of as a food processor. And it comes with this big guy, which I use for smoothies. So I'm gonna use my little guy. And I actually poured some of the liquid out from that chipotle pepper. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to just chop this into small-ish pieces, just the like edible parts, so I'll take the stem off obviously. And then along with the juice that I left inside here, which is about 1/2 cup, I'm gonna blend it up in my little food processor thing. And then I am going to dump the liquid out of the beans and let the beans simmer in the chipotle sauce so that they'll take on a light chipotle flavor. At least that's what I'm hoping for. They have like no salt at all. We're gonna let that cook for a little while. I decided I'm gonna add a little bit of honey to the beans because I realized that the only flavors in this are gonna be like salt and spice, and so I think sweet will balance it out a little bit. I just remembered something I said at the beginning of the video. I was like, as long as I don't add honey, this will be a vegan dinner. Nope. So if you're vegan, all you gotta do to modify this meal is replace honey with sugar, maple syrup, agave, whatever sweetener you like. Okay, we're gonna get started on the nopalitos. So first I'm gonna heat a tablespoon of oil in a pan, a large pan. I'm gonna go for about medium-high heat. Oh, I just realized that you guys can see all the steam coming off of the beans. I'm gonna move them to a different burner. I'm gonna be adding chopped garlic, and you really don't wanna burn garlic. So that's, otherwise I'd probably just put it to high, because why not? Okay, now I'm gonna add in my onion and garlic. I'm gonna stir that around for about a minute or two. Oh crap, I forgot to add the jalapenos. So you know when you added the onion and garlic back there? Yeah, that's when you're supposed to add the peppers too. Whoops, that's okay, it'll work. Okay, so I added a little bit more oil to the pan just because I think once the nopales go in, I think it's gonna need it. I gotta take you behind the scenes right now, y'all. Cause this. So I have a cardboard box, and then this is like zoomed in and centered and focused perfectly on this pan. Time to add our nopales. Saute the nopales for a couple minutes, and then throw in the tomatoes and saute that until all the vegetables are cooked, and then you salt and season to taste. I can definitely see some of the like little strands of goop coming off of this. That's super interesting. Okay guys, the beans actually worked. They like simmered down, there's no more liquid left. I did it! Tomato time! Ooh, now it looks like Christmas! Smells good. It also smells like it needs salt. I heard on the interwebs that when you cook the paddle, it becomes a lot more malleable. Like where it was kind of hard and crispy before, it's now going to be malleable. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. I'm gonna cook it until it gets just right, and I'll show you the finished dish. Just chop some cilantro, we got avocado, we got lime, and we have my favorite new salsa slash hot sauce thing, El Pato. My friend Mary Gray actually showed this to me when we were in Tucson, and it's like 59 cents for this little can, and it's so good. It can replace salsa or hot sauce, depending on how much spiciness you like, I guess. Am I kneeling down on my kitchen floor? Yes. Is this an awkward angle? Yes. Am I gonna go with it anyways? Yes. They're yummy. They have a really interesting texture. They like kind of remind me of green beans a little bit, but they're not quite as like, you know how green beans, especially Chinese long beans, can get like really fibrous and hard on the outside? This is not like that at all. It's a lot softer on the outside, but the inside has this like hint of sliminess to it. And actually while I was cooking, I tasted it to see how much salt it had. Like partway through the cooking process, maybe like 2/3 of the way, these things were so slimy, like way more slimy than they are now. They are delicious. Let's take a bite of some of them with beans and rice together. Yep, I'm gonna go get down on this meal now. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. If you guys make this dish, be sure to post it in the Fearless Fam Facebook group. I'll link that down below, and if you haven't joined it yet, definitely request to join. I'll respond to your request as soon as I can. Doing a one-woman cooking show is super hard. I literally just high-fived myself. Also, this is getting added to the dish. Bye!